All right, I believe you. Finally, Ling Qingzhu could only nod at Lin Dong. She understood that it was already impossible to change Lin Dong's decision. Since that was the case, the only thing left to do was to trust him. Lin Dong, are you really going to face the entire Ice Spirit clan alone? This is too. Qingtan was still extremely worried about Lin Dong. Her jade-like hand, which gripped the dark sacred scythe, was even beginning to sweat. Big brother, I still think this is too dangerous. How about we don't use the martial realm's combat strength and fight together as the three brothers? What could the Ice Spirit clan do? Yin also wasn't at ease with Lin Dong's decision. What are you questioning me as your big brother? Hearing this, Lin Dong said lightly, Big brother, you know that's not what I meant, it's just… Yin was cut off by little Mink, who was beside him. Enough. After being with Lin Dong for so many years, don't you know him by now? Can his decision be changed by a few words from you? Little Mink said helplessly, looking at Lin Dong. Since you've decided to face the Ice Spirit clan alone, I won't stop you. But we'll wait for you here. Whenever you return, we'll wait for as long as it takes. No, the martial realm has only been established for a few years and is still a new force. There are countless matters that need your attention, and you need to remain in charge. So, before I meet Xun'er from the Ice Spirit clan, you must stay in the martial realm, Lin Dong said. Martial realm? Don't you remember why you established the martial realm in the first place? Wasn't it to fight the Ice Spirit clan? Now you want to leave the martial realm behind and face the entire Ice Spirit clan alone. Little Mink retorted. Things have turned out differently than I expected. As for the martial realm, it will still be our great support in the future, Lin Dong said. You all go back to the martial realm. If you can, apologize to Elder Song on my behalf. Lin Dong, you have to promise me, come back safe and sound. If something goes wrong, we will definitely storm the Ice Spirit clan and seek justice for you. Qingtan rushed forward and hugged Lin Dong. Apart from my parents, you're the only brother I have. Same here, you're my only sister, Lin Dong said, reaching up to stroke Qingtan's jet-black hair. Then, with a flick of his fingers, a spatial portal that could directly return to the martial realm appeared not far from them. Stay safe. We'll be waiting for your news in the martial realm. If there's any trouble, just send a message. As long as you need us, the entire martial realm is your solid backing. Ling Qingzhu said, then turned and walked toward the spatial portal Lin Dong had opened. Lin Dong, you must come back safe. Qingtan released Lin Dong and was about to follow Ling Qingzhu back to the martial realm. Yin and Little Mink were also preparing to leave. However, just as the four of them turned around, a buzzing sound filled the air, followed by a terrifying force that suddenly came from behind them. Ling Qingzhu, Yin, Little Mink, and Lin Dong all turned back. What they saw from afar, high in the sky, was a scene that shocked them. From the core area of the Ice Spirit continent, millions of miles away, a massive ice-blue light pillar soared into the sky. The pillar was so enormous that even from millions of miles away, they could still see it. On the pillar, countless intricate and dazzling snow and ice runes covered its surface. Buzz. The ice-blue light pillar that had risen from deep within the Ice Spirit continent extended into the vastness of space for millions of miles, forming a giant semicircular light dome. The enormous dome radiated a ghostly blue hue, covering a vast area of around 1,000,000 miles within the Ice Spirit continent. Everything within the dome began to distort and blur until it became completely unrecognizable. Upon seeing this, Lin Dong's resolute gaze slowly turned solemn. The area covered by the eerie blue dome included the spatial gateway leading to the ancestral land of the Ice Spirit clan, the Icefire dimension. As Lin Dong's expression grew heavy, countless rays of light appeared once again on the eerie blue dome. These rays of light were formed by countless spirit seals, and their number caused both Yin and Little Mink to narrow their eyes. The quantity of spirit seals now exceeded 10 million. Far more than the spirit seals they had previously encountered from the Ice Spirit clan's second elder, Ice Heaven Mountain, and the number was still rapidly increasing. It's the Ice Spirit clan's sect protection formation. Lin Dong gazed at the scene far in the distance and spoke. As his voice fell, the countless intertwining beams of light ahead formed three colossal, tens of millions of Zhang-wide heavenly spirit arrays. These 3 heavenly spirit arrays were positioned in 3 directions, slanting outside a massive dark blue energy shield. They formed a pyramid-like shape, tightly protecting the dark blue shield within, and the freezing power emanating from the heavenly spirit arrays was so overwhelming that even a perfected Earth Supreme would have no choice but to retreat, fearing that even the slightest touch would turn them into ice sculptures. Such a terrifying heavenly spirit array could only be the Ice Heaven Snow array spoken of by Elder Song of the Ice Spirit Clan. The chilling force was so powerful that even Little Mink and the others had a hard time believing that this array only had 2/10 of its peak power. If it were at full strength, it could probably repel any expert below the heavenly supreme level of great perfection. "Return to the martial realm first," Lindong said as he noticed the shock on Ling Qingzhu and Little Mink's faces upon seeing the Ice Spirit Clan activate their clan protection array. "Big brother, if this array is triggered, its power will surely be terrifying. Can you handle it?" Yin asked, his face filled with astonishment as he stared at the heavenly spirit array. He could feel the terrifying fluctuations emanating from it and knew that he would not be able to face that kind of power head-on. But then he thought, now that Lindong had truly become a heavenly supreme expert, and considering his skill with talismans and arrays, Lindong might just be able to break through this Ice Heaven Snow array. Whatever is coming will come. But no matter what power stands before me, I will crush it, Lindong said in a deep voice. "You all leave first. Take care of yourself." Ling Qingzhu nodded and was about to head toward the spatial passage to leave. At that moment, she caught the apologetic look that Lindong gave her. "Sorry," Lindong murmured. "You don't need to worry. I don't mind these things. If she could do this for you, then if you don't do it, you won't be the Lindong I know," Ling Qingzhu said softly. "Thank you," Lindong replied. "Protect yourself. That's the greatest thanks you can give me," Ling Qingzhu said, turning and walking into the spatial passage. "Lindong, we'll be waiting for you in the martial realm. You must come back safely." After Ling Qingzhu, Qing Tan also entered the passage, returning to the martial realm. Soon after, Yin and Little Mink followed, leaving as well. Buzz. As the 4 of them left, the spatial passage slowly disappeared. At that moment, only Lindong remained on the towering ice peak. Everything around him became quiet once again. Lindong shifted his gaze back to the distant Ice Heaven Snow array. Even now, with his ability to activate the Space Ancestral Talisman and even use Heavenly Soul level detection, he could no longer perceive what was inside the dark blue shield. Clearly, the designer of this Ice Heaven Snow array had considered the need to block Heavenly Supreme level experts from probing it. Lindong took a deep breath. After Ling Qingzhu and the others left, he did not immediately head toward the inner region of the Ice Spirit Continent. Instead, he sat down slowly in place. Looking at the Ice Spirit Clan's inner domain in front of him, he suddenly recalled some memories, some good, some awkward, and some that still caused him immense pain to this day. But all of those memories were tied to one girl. At this moment, Lindong seemed to be transported back over a decade in time. He saw the dark, shrouded heavenly mystic dimension and the hidden demon clan King Hall that had been concealed for thousands of years. The demon clan's mighty army continued their long-planned invasion, and wherever they passed, billions of lives were reduced to ashes. Their cold and indifferent demeanor sent only one message to all the creatures in the heavenly mystic dimension. Eradicate you. What does it matter to us? In this context, Huan transformed into the Ice Lord and, along with other ancient rulers, led those who wished to resist in the heavenly mystic dimension to battle the demon clan's forces. Honestly, Lindong never liked the girl's silver hair, as it lost the lively sparkle it once had. "Are you Huan or the Ice Lord?" Lindong asked at the time, while the girl's eyes glinted with a cold light, but she remained silent. The once lively girl had swiftly transformed into the savior of the world, the faith of billions of lives. She had lifted the weight of the entire world, and he had to block everything for her. But who exactly was being stubborn? "Do you really want to be the savior?" Lindong finally asked, angry and embarrassed. For the past 2 months, Lindong's heart had turned to ashes. He lived an ordinary life, accompanied by Ling Qingzhu, who wore white and had a clear lotus demeanor. But the world had changed. No one knew how long this peaceful life would last before it came to an end. When he looked up, all he saw was the increasingly looming image of the demon emperor. It was a symbol of destruction. A year later, above the chaos demon sea, Lin Dong finally saw the silver-haired woman again. The icy seal that locked away her emotions melted the instant her red lips touched Lin Dong's. The coldness evaporated, transforming into warmth, leaving him stunned. Everything seemed to return to the beginning. The lively girl, her long black ponytail swinging, but it was fleeting. She pushed him away, and tears flowed down her pale face. "I'm sorry, I just want you to live." "What are you talking about?" "I did it." Did she really? What had she done? The ancient seal, accompanied by rising blue flames, illuminated the girl, who appeared as a spirit fluttering in the darkness, while the young man in front of her raged. "I pray with my soul, with my body, with my blood, summoning the spirits of heaven and earth to be divine, to walk the ancestral path." Amid this ethereal voice that shocked the entire world, Lin Dong's vision was engulfed by darkness, and he entered the cycle of reincarnation, experiencing countless lives. 10 cycles of reincarnation, and only then could one be called an ancestor. Until the black dimensional rift stretched across the sky of the heavenly mystic dimension, Ling Qingzhu moved to confront the alien demon emperor, but Lin Dong coldly blocked her path. "The mighty alien demon emperor has arrived. I, Lin Dong, represent the billions of lives in this world. At long last, we meet." The true world-ending war began at that moment. The battle was short, a one-sided confrontation between Lin Dong and the alien demon emperor. As the million demon monuments fell, Lin Dong thought everything was over, irreversible. But then Ling Qingzhu's cold, jade-like hand grasped his. She led him to the source of the primordial force, the fetus-shaped void body, the dimension embryo. Lin Dong, having mastered the entire dimension, finally eradicated the barrier that had hindered the world's development for millennia. The first light of dawn shone upon the entire dimension. But as the world cheered for the rebirth of the heavens and earth, no one knew that the young man who caused this rebirth was crying because he could not find his woman. "Xun'er, I'm here." His voice, a soft whisper, faded into the air. The memory images before his eyes dissipated like smoke, and Lin Dong rose again from the towering ice peak. This time, he would not look back. Lin Dong's body slowly levitated. He gazed at the array of ice and snow ahead. With a wave of his hand, a terrifying force, vast as the heavens themselves, surged from within him. Boom! The power radiating from Lin Dong was enough to immobilize any perfected Earth's supreme-level being. Clearly, this was the pressure of a heavenly supreme, and such terrifying power expanded at an unimaginable speed. If there were a supreme expert above the Earth's supreme level, their divine soul would reveal a shocking sight: the distribution of spiritual energy across the ice spirit continent. In the dark space, 2 suns appeared, representing the 2 areas on the ice spirit continent with the highest spiritual energy density. One was the activated ice heaven snow array, and the other was Lin Dong himself. By unleashing his power so recklessly, Lin Dong made it clear he was not intending to fight under the watchful eyes of the Ice Spirit clan. This battle would be fought openly. Meanwhile, nearly 10,000 miles away, a force of about 15,000 strong had gathered in the mountains. Boom! When the terrifying fluctuation of spiritual energy spread from the far-off horizon, the 15,000 warriors immediately felt it. What kind of terrifying power is this? Did it come so soon? This was unexpected. A heavenly supreme? This may be the first time in our lives that we face such power head-on. As they sensed the overwhelming force enveloping the ice spirit continent, the warriors in the mountains began to murmur. Then, all 15,000 of them turned their gazes toward the front, where a young man in blue stood suspended in midair. The terrifying spiritual energy from the vast expanse of the world, stretching across millions of miles, was naturally sensed by the young man in the blue robe. However, he was in no rush. Slowly, he sat cross-legged in midair, playing a game of chess with himself. His demeanor was calm and collected, as though he had long anticipated the arrival of the power ahead. Several minutes later, the young man in the blue robe placed a chess piece down. He slowly lifted his head and saw a figure that had crossed over millions of miles of sky, now standing before him. With the arrival of this figure, the expressions of the 15,000-strong warriors in the mountain range behind him became serious and vigilant. The person who had crossed millions of miles of sky was none other than Lin Dong. At this moment, he faced off against thousands of powerful warriors, his expression calm without a hint of disturbance, yet his gaze revealed a sharp edge. In his perception, all 15,000 of these warriors were at or above the Supreme Realm. 15,000 Supreme Realm experts gathered on the Ice Spirit continent, a number far exceeding the usual population of the Ice Spirit clan by more than tenfold. Lin Dong quickly realized that they had all been summoned from various places within the Ice Spirit clan's domain. Judging from the current situation, Lin Dong understood that the Ice Spirit clan had likely been waiting for his arrival. In midair, the young man in the blue robe, who had been sitting before the chessboard, smiled lightly upon seeing Lin Dong's arrival. He waved his sleeve, and the chessboard disappeared. He then slowly stood up, facing Lin Dong. "Are you martial ancestor Lin Dong of the martial realm?" the young man in blue asked indifferently. "May I ask what brings martial ancestor to our Ice Spirit clan?" "I've come to take back my woman," Lin Dong replied directly, his voice full of determination. He would make no retreat now, though his gaze remained narrowed as he looked at the young man in blue. The young man in blue, standing against Lin Dong, was at the Upper Earth Supreme level. Given his age and appearance, it was evident that he was a top talent among the younger generation of the Ice Spirit clan. What surprised Lin Dong more was that despite facing someone who had truly reached the heavenly supreme level like himself, the young man in blue remained entirely composed, showing no hint of fear or even caution. "Your woman? Are you referring to Bing Huan, the granddaughter of the Grand Elder?" the young man in blue asked again. "I'm here for Ing Huan Huan, not Bing Huan," Lin Dong replied coldly, his eyes narrowing. "Your Ing Huan Huan is our Bing Huan," the young man in blue said. "What gives you the confidence to take her from our Ice Spirit clan? Elder Tian Shan has already informed us. It seems you martial realm people are not here alone, are you? They are my brothers and family, and they have returned to the martial realm," Lin Dong said. "Really? Just you alone?" The young man in blue was slightly taken aback, and the warriors behind him began to murmur among themselves. It was hard for them to believe that Lin Dong had come here alone. However, the young man in blue smiled faintly and said to the others behind him, "There's no need to doubt. Martial ancestor Lin Dong is a heavenly supreme expert. If he's here alone, then let's treat him as such." "Cold Sky King, should we report this to the Grand Elder?" asked a 9th grade supreme expert behind him. "Send a message through the Ice Spirit transmission," the young man called Cold Sky King said, waving his hand. "Just Lin Dong alone coming to Ice Spirit continent, intending to take Ing Huan Huan." Lin Dong watched as the 9th grade supreme expert took out a jade token engraved with ancient symbols. Bang! The 9th grade supreme expert shattered the jade token, and an ice blue beam of light shot out, piercing through millions of miles of sky and heading toward the Ice Spirit clan's clan-protecting formation. Lin Dong observed that the light passed through the Ice Heaven Snow Spirit Array without any hindrance, indicating that this was a special method of communication, likely the only one that could transmit messages across the clan-protecting array. The Grand Elder had already anticipated this, Cold Sky King said. He has prepared 4 scenarios. The worst-case scenario is that your martial realm sends a full force, and martial ancestor Lin Dong uses his connections with the Great Thousand Alliance and the Black Spirit Clan to summon a large number of strong warriors. This would involve 2 Heavenly Supremes and dozens of Earth Supremes, with other warriors far surpassing our Ice Spirit Clan in number. For us, this would be a battle that requires the entire clan's strength. Better than the worst-case scenario is the second worst scenario, where the Martial Realm and the Black Spirit Clan team up against us. Beyond that, there are 2 other possibilities. 1. The Martial Realm sends out their entire force, and the final, best-case scenario. The calm voice of the Cold Sky King echoed in Lin Dong's ears, and the content of his words made Lin Dong pause in surprise. If what Cold Sky King said was true, then the Grand Elder of the Ice Spirit Clan, Bing Tsangqiang, might be someone as cautious and calculating as Elder Song. Not only had he predicted Lin Dong's arrival, but he had also preemptively considered 4 possible scenarios. Now that Lin Dong had come alone, the Ice Spirit Clan likely viewed his arrival as the least likely of all 4 possibilities. Martial Ancestor, you've come alone, which shows your sincerity. However, I hope you are mentally prepared for what comes next. Cold Sky King's originally indifferent expression suddenly froze, and Lin Dong immediately felt a vast and overwhelming power erupt from within him. This wasn't just ordinary spiritual energy, it was a force of battle intent that could stir changes in the world itself. Boom! Cold Sky King's release of battle intent made it clear to Lin Dong that the reason Cold Sky King was unafraid of the Heavenly Supreme was because of his identity as a battle formation master. No wonder there were 15,000 Supreme Realm experts gathered here. Under Cold Sky King's leadership, the strength of this army could be terrifying. Ice Spirit Divine Guard. Form the formation. After activating the battle intent, Cold Sky King's sharp command rang out. At his command, 15,000 Supreme Realm warriors surged into action. They soared into the sky behind him, and in the air above, a massive chessboard, hundreds of meters in size, slowly materialized. The warriors landed on the chessboard, sitting cross-legged like pieces in a game of chess. Buzz. As the 15,000 Supreme Realm experts settled onto the chessboard, a protective light shield enveloped the entire formation. The strength of this shield was so powerful that even an ordinary perfected Earth Supreme expert would struggle to break through it. It was clear that this chessboard was a high-quality Earth artifact, specifically crafted for a battle formation master like Cold Sky King. This is the Heaven and Earth Battle Will Disc, one of the 4 clan-protecting treasures of my Ice Spirit Clan. My talent is limited, and I can only unleash less than half of its power, Cold Sky King said, looking at Lin Dong. As a booming sound resonated through the heavens and earth, Lin Dong saw a terrifying force of battle intent materialize behind Cold Sky King, forming an entire world. It was a vast, chilling world of ice, with endless icy seas and mountain ranges that seemed to stretch for eternity, breathtaking and awe-inspiring. The creation of such a world through battle intent was something only a heaven-level battle formation master could do. On the Heaven and Earth Battle Will Disc, tens of thousands of ice battle runes flickered, marking Cold Sky King's status. The ice battle runes were different from those of regular battle formation masters. They were part of a higher-grade, world-shaping array, much more advanced than ordinary battle runes. Each Heaven and Earth battle rune was worth at least 100 normal battle array runes. This signified that Cold Sky King was a battle formation master at the 9 million rune level. If he reached 10 million runes, he would be on par with a heavenly supreme level battle formation master. A battle formation master? Lin Dong muttered softly, gazing at the countless manifestations of the world that appeared before him. Then, his eyes slowly closed, and the vast spiritual energy that had been surging within him dissipated. To anyone looking at him now, Lin Dong appeared as if he had no spiritual power at all. However, Cold Sky King didn't share this view. Boom. As Lin Dong's eyes closed, Cold Sky King saw the surrounding heavens and earth quickly enveloped in thick, dark clouds. Within the clouds, countless lightning bolts roared through the sky like dragons, their power filling the air with an ominous energy that made one's heart race. Could this be? Cold Sky King quickly looked up at the sky. Normally, in the icy lands of the Ice Spirit Clan, thunder and lightning were unseen for millions of miles, so these thunderbolts and dark clouds must have been summoned by Lin Dong. Boom! Just as Cold Sky King gazed at the thick storm clouds above, a massive lightning bolt descended from the sky and gathered in Lin Dong's hand, forming into a dazzling, 1-meter-long lightning staff. Holding the lightning staff, Lin Dong slammed it down onto the air beneath his feet, and a resounding war drum beat echoed through the heavens and earth. Boom! The sound of the war drum, stirring the battle intent in the hearts of all who heard it, reverberated through the world. Countless bolts of lightning, filled with destructive power, descended from the storm clouds in the sky with immense speed. These lightning strikes gathered behind Lindong, forming over 1,000 lightning figures, most of them around 1,000 feet tall. They stood in the space between heaven and earth like an army of towering warriors. On the other side, Cold Sky King could feel the terrifying destructive power within these lightning warriors, a power that came from the battle intent of all things in the world. The sacred drum technique, truly as terrifying as the Grand Elder said, Cold Sky King marveled, yet he still wore a calm smile. At this moment, an army of 15,000 Supreme Realm experts, formed by the chess pieces, faced off against an army of over 1,000 lightning warriors, born from the power of heavenly thunder. The wind howled through the heavens, and everything awaited the terrible trigger that would lead to the destruction of all things. Martial Ancestor, may I know why you chose to come alone? Cold Sky King asked again. Because this is my matter with the Ice Spirit Clan, and it must be resolved by me alone. Lindong replied resolutely. If you dare stand in my way, I will crush you without mercy. Good. It seems the Grand Elder's plan has truly worked on you. You are indeed one of the outstanding individuals to break through the shackles from the lower dimension world. To reach this point, your heart and awareness are higher than I imagined. Cold Sky King said, his voice echoing across the heavens. Since you want to take Bing Huan, then come. Cold Sky King's booming voice reverberated. A crazy battle intent surged on his face. At the same time, his hands began to rapidly form intricate hand seals. Boom. As Cold Sky King's seals changed, the battle intent disc behind him was activated. In that instant, a terrifying battle intent, capable of obscuring the sun, roared through the air. It quickly condensed into a gigantic ice spear, nearly 10,000 feet long. At the same time, a loud shout came from Cold Sky King, shaking the heavens and the earth. Heavenly Ice Divine Spear. One spear breaks the heavens. On Ice Spirit Continent, within the inner domain, in front of the Ice Spirit Pavilion, Ice Firmament was feeling quite leisurely today. He conjured a swaying chair from his spiritual energy and reclined in front of the Ice Spirit Pavilion, rocking gently, as if ready to fall asleep. Whoosh! A sharp sound broke the air, and in the blink of an eye, a middle-aged man, moving at an incredible speed, crossed the sky and landed in front of the Ice Spirit Pavilion. He bowed respectfully before Ice Firmament. Grand Elder, the one from the martial realm has arrived, but there is only one. The newcomer said. He was the first elder of the Ice Spirit Clan. Is it Lindong? Ice Firmament asked nonchalantly, still rocking his chair. Yes, it is Martial Ancestor Lindong. He came alone, intending to take Bing Huan. As for the previous people, if he is really the one, they have withdrawn, the first elder said. Quite sincere, Ice Firmament replied. Has Cold Sky King been obedient? Cold Sky King has led 15,000 clan leaders, gathered half a month ago, to engage in battle with Martial Ancestor Lindong. The battle situation is unknown, the first elder said. But I expect that for now, Martial Ancestor Lindong won't be able to break through Cold Sky King's defenses. Cold Sky King can't stop him. The Clan Protection Spirit Array will soon be attacked. Let the 24 elders take action. Use whatever means you have. By the way, how much supreme spiritual liquid is stored in the clan's spiritual vault? Ice Firmament inquired. I'm not in charge of the spiritual vault, but it should be around 6 or 70 billion supreme spiritual liquid, the first elder replied before asking, Grand Elder, what do you want? Such a large stockpile of supreme spiritual liquid is of little use for now. Take out 50 billion in my name and use it, Ice Firmament said. Those guys in the clan and the elders and stewards are always so powerful. I hear every time they leave the Ice Spirit Clan, they act all high and mighty. Some of them, despite being only in the Supreme Realm, even dare to provoke the top forces. Grand Elder, they only act so arrogantly outside because of their identity as members of the Ice Spirit Clan. Then let them all come out and practice this time, giving them a chance to show themselves. Issue an announcement within the clan. All the strong members must act, no matter what means they use, whether open or covert. As long as they can stop Lindong for 1 minute, they will receive a reward of 10 million drops of supreme spiritual liquid. 2 minutes will earn 20 million drops, and so on. How they stop him, I don't care, said Ice Firmament, who continued leisurely rocking in his chair. Grand Elder, are you going too far with this? Let's not talk about martial ancestor Lindong, who only ascended to Heavenly Supreme 6 months ago, and even if 50 billion drops of supreme spiritual liquid isn't a huge cost, after this, the Ice Spirit Clan's reputation might, said the First Elder, worriedly. He knew that even if the Ice Spirit Clan really blocked martial ancestor Lindong's attack, they would inevitably gain a reputation for bullying the weak with numbers. Upon hearing the First Elder's concerns, Ice Firmament stopped rocking his chair. His previously relaxed expression suddenly turned angry as he snapped at the First Elder. Can reputation help you with cultivation? Can it help you break through to Heavenly Supreme? Can reputation revive the Ice Spirit Clan? Faced with this question, the First Elder was speechless, so he could only voice another concern. Grand Elder, perhaps I'm speaking too much, but you also need to consider your own position. If things go wrong, you'll become the Ice Spirit Clan's enemy for thousands of years. What am I? If the Ice Spirit Clan can be revived, what does it matter if I become the clan's enemy for 10,000 years? As I see it, if it helps revive the Ice Spirit Clan, then everything we do now is worth the cost. If that extraterritorial tribe launches another world-ending war soon, do you want to guess how long the Ice Spirit Clan will survive? Ice Firmament asked. Sigh, forget it. Since you've made up your mind, Grand Elder, we, the younger generations, have no say. We can only hope that future generations will understand you, the First Elder sighed. He knew what Ice Firmament was really trying to convey. In ancient times, before the world-ending war began, the Ice Spirit Clan was a super spirit clan with over 10 heavenly supreme experts. Even compared to other ancient god clans like the Imoku God Clan and Futu God Clan, they were no weaker. One of the 10 greatest ancient super-strong beings was from the Ice Spirit Clan, making it clear just how powerful they once were. Yet, even this super spirit clan couldn't resist the combined forces of the extraterritorial tribes, ultimately suffering devastating losses. Now, with only a handful of heavenly supreme experts, the Ice Spirit Clan had no hope of withstanding another attack from the extraterritorial tribes. The Holy Alliance and the Guardian Realm of the Lower Dimension Alliance were no weaker than the Ice Spirit Clan today, but they were swiftly destroyed by the extraterritorial tribes, setting a clear example. 8 years ago, a young man named Martial Ancestor Lindong, with the strength of a higher Earth Supreme, charged into the Ice Spirit Clan's territory. Although he retreated, his appearance may have directly changed the fate of the Ice Spirit Clan. At that time, Ice Firmament gathered all the elders and strong members of the Ice Spirit Clan for a meeting at the Ice Spirit Pavilion. To this day, all attendees still remember what Ice Firmament said during that meeting. The Ice Spirit Clan is about to perish. Its blood is nearly dry. We're only living off the legacy left by our ancestors, but no matter how rich that legacy is, it will eventually run out. But now, before us, there's a huge source of fresh blood. This might bring the Ice Spirit Clan back to life, or it could lead to our complete extinction. I'm asking you all, if there's a chance to gamble, will you gamble? If you won't, then I will. That moment, Ice Firmament's resolution directly altered the future path of the Ice Spirit Clan. Though whether the old man's choice was right remains uncertain. The First Elder cupped his hands toward Ice Firmament and was about to leave. At this moment, his gaze turned toward the distant horizon, where a massive light formation was spinning. It was a subarray of the Ice Spirit Clan's Ice Heaven Snow Spirit Array, and behind it, the First Elder could sense a terrifying energy flowing like a tidal wave, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. In midair, the massive chessboard, enveloped by a dark blue light shield, remained suspended. Among the 15,000 Supreme Realm powerhouses within, each was exerting their utmost effort to channel their battle intent. Typically, unifying the battle intents of so many powerful beings is an incredibly difficult task. However, due to the presence of the Heaven and Earth Battle Disc, the step of unifying battle intent was bypassed. On this disc, all the powerhouses were merely pieces on a chessboard, sitting in fixed positions. As long as they channeled their power, their battle intent would be automatically unified by the Heaven and Earth Battle Disk. The one to ultimately control this force was the Ice Spirit Clan's first battle formation master, Cold Sky King. Boom, boom, boom. Dozens of massive ice spears formed in midair and, at Cold Sky King's command, shot forward with terrifying force. Each spear carried enough power to make even a perfected Earth Supreme feel a deep sense of fear. As they were launched simultaneously, any powerhouse below the Heavenly Supreme level was forced to retreat. However, the man in front, holding a thunder staff, showed no fear whatsoever. Facing the dozens of ice spears imbued with destructive power, Lin Dong swung his thunder staff. Instantly, over 1,000 giant figures made of heaven and earth thunder appeared behind him, stepping forward in unison. The battle intent within them surged out, transforming into a colossal thunderstorm that swept toward the ice spears. Boom! The two terrifying forces collided, causing a violent explosion. The space around the epicenter shattered as the two forces clashed. However, the confrontation was not a stalemate. The thunderstorm crushed the ice spears with overwhelming force, shredding them into fragments. Cold Sky King narrowed his eyes in surprise. He hadn't expected his full force strike to be easily neutralized by Lin Dong with just a casual wave. But then Cold Sky King noticed something unusual. Martial Ancestor Lin Dong, is your sacred drum technique only useful for defense? Cold Sky King's remark came after over a dozen rounds of battle where he had been the one launching aggressive attacks. Each time, Lin Dong effortlessly neutralized them in various ways. Upon hearing Cold Sky King's words, Lin Dong casually waved his thunder staff again, calming the surging thunderstorm. He then turned to Cold Sky King and said, "You should retreat with those from the battle disk. You won't be able to withstand my next attack." Upon hearing this, Cold Sky King narrowed his eyes and a cold gleam flickered in them. "Martial Ancestor Lin Dong, although you are one of the foremost figures breaking the shackles of the lower dimensional world, you are seriously underestimating me." "Oh, really?" Lin Dong responded lightly, and as his words fell, his gaze suddenly became sharp. Boom! With a thunderous roar, an overwhelming force of battle intent surged behind Lin Dong, condensing like a superstorm. Seeing this, Cold Sky King smiled. He knew Lin Dong was finally going to take action. Boom! The ice-covered ground trembled violently, and under the heavy thunderclouds, over 1,000 thunder giants, formed from the power of thunder, were activated by Lin Dong. The power they unleashed was terrifying, even more so than anything Cold Sky King had ever encountered. It was the strongest battle intent he had ever felt. This battle intent felt as though it was not just Lin Dong's force, but the entire battlefield itself. Cold Sky King felt as if he were not just fighting Lin Dong, but the very battlefield. "Are you not planning to retreat?" Lin Dong asked, observing Cold Sky King, who seemed shocked but showed no intention of retreating with the battle disk. Lin Dong couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration for Cold Sky King. The latter had clearly accepted some kind of mission to intercept Lin Dong here. Cold Sky King valued this mission above his own life, a mindset not many could possess. "Ah, it seems I can't stop you," Cold Sky King finally acknowledged. He knew it was impossible to stop Lin Dong now. This force was something he simply could not oppose. No wonder the Grand Elder had mobilized the entire clan to resist this person. "However, I still have a responsibility, so if you wish to pass, you'll have to face one more move from me." Even though Cold Sky King knew he couldn't stop Lin Dong, he chose to continue the fight. With a wave of his sleeve, a dark red flag shot out. The dark red flag, snatched from the Cold Sky King's hand, expanded in midair. In the blink of an eye, it grew to a size of 100 zhong, flashing above the heaven and earth battle disk. At this moment, the 15,000 Supreme Realm experts sitting on the disk slightly raised their heads. They gazed at the dark red flag above, their expressions turning solemn, for they knew that the Cold Sky King was about to unleash a killing move that would cost him as much as it would his enemies. As all the experts grew serious at the appearance of the dark red flag, the Cold Sky King suddenly slapped his own chest. Bang! The slap was merciless, and immediately, blood sprayed from his mouth. Meanwhile, Lindong on the opposite side saw the Cold Sky King's self-inflicted action. It was clear that he was about to sacrifice his own vital blood to power the flag. The blood, about the size of half a fist, hovered before the Cold Sky King, exuding an intimidating force. He then swung his sleeve, and the blood was absorbed by the dark red flag behind him. After the Cold Sky King offered his vital blood, the 15,000 experts below the flag also contributed their own blood, which merged into the dark red banner. As these blood energies combined, they seemed to resonate with each other, causing the flag to emit a dark red glow that appeared as though it would devour the world. Boom! The dark red light spread across the entire sky, turning the previously ice-blue continent into a blood-soaked landscape. Amid this ominous scene, a strange creature appeared from the flag. It was a massive blood-colored bird, about 100 zhang in size, with wings formed of blood-red ice crystals. In the eyes of ordinary battle formation masters, it would appear to be a spirit of battle intent. However, only true super battle formation masters could tell that this was no mere illusion created by battle intent. It was a living creature, one whose presence could rival the top 15 beasts on the heavenly beast ranking. The blood-red giant bird soared behind the Cold Sky King. Each flap of its icy wings carried terrifying power, capable of obliterating everything in its path. At the same time, Lindong, on the opposite side, launched his attack. Lindong's strike appeared simple. Thousands of thunder giants simultaneously struck with their palms, summoning over 1,000 thunderous handprints, each about 10 zhang large. However, beneath this seemingly simple attack lay a different kind of terror. Boom! The thunderous handprints converged in the sky behind Lindong, stacking on top of each other, eventually forming a massive imprint 100 zhang in size. This giant seal hovered in the sky, facing off against the blood-colored bird, with lightning and bloodlight dividing the heavens between them. Martial Ancestor Lindong, this is my final strike. If you can break it, I will no longer stand in your way. The Cold Sky King said, staring at Lindong. As his words fell, the blood-colored bird locked onto Lindong and, with a wave of the Cold Sky King's hand, transformed into a streak of blood-red light. It shot across the sky at an alarming speed, heading straight for Lindong. Swish! The blood-red bird, carrying the power to annihilate all, froze everything in its path, shattering it instantly without any signs of self-repair. Is this really your final strike? Seeing the blood-colored bird heading toward him, Lindong shook his thunder staff, sending a brilliant thunder imprint flying. However, when the Cold Sky King saw the direction in which Lindong's thunder imprint was heading, his pupils shrank in shock. Lindong's attack was not directed at the blood-colored bird, but toward a completely unexpected target, an ancient protective formation of the Ice Spirit Clan, the Ice Heaven Snow Spirit Array. Damn, he dares to ignore me. Seeing Lindong's attack heading for the clan's protective array, the Cold Sky King's expression changed. The Cold Sky King, who appeared on the battle disc, immediately seized the dark red flag and swung it. As he did so, the blood-red giant bird that had previously been rushing toward Lindong's thunder battle mark turned around, following the Cold Sky King's command, and charged toward him. However, by this time, it was already too late. Swish! When the blood-red giant bird changed direction, it was only a few hundred yards away from Lindong. At that moment, two purple-golden true dragon wings unfolded behind him. As these wings flapped, the hundreds of yards between them were covered in the blink of an eye. Lindong's figure appeared before the blood-red giant bird, and despite facing a battle spirit creature capable of annihilating everything, Lindong's expression remained calm. Then, he clenched his fist with 5 fingers, launching a strike. On his fist, countless purple-golden dragon patterns soared upwards. Neither the blood-red giant bird nor the Cold Sky King reacted in that instant. But when the Cold Sky King snapped back to reality, all he saw was a shower of blood-colored ice flakes falling from the sky. The blood-red giant bird, which had been there just a moment ago, was now destroyed by Lindong's punch. The battle spirit creature, which had gathered the blood power of the Cold Sky King and 15,000 Supreme Realm experts, was originally powerful enough to rival an upper heavenly supreme. Yet, it had been obliterated by Lin Dong's single punch. This scene stunned the onlookers, leaving them unable to believe what they had just witnessed. What Lin Dong had used was not some powerful spiritual energy technique. It was pure physical strength gained after refining nearly 8,000 drops of true dragon royal blood. Lin Dong, now fully aware of his transformation, felt confident in his ability to face the Ice Spirit clan alone. This was the reason he dared to come here by himself. How is this possible? Cold Sky King, having recovered from his shock, stood frozen in place, sweat even appearing on his hand that still gripped the dark red flag. However, as the Cold Sky King and the other Supreme Realm experts stood stunned, another scene unfolded a million miles away. The thunderous giant seal, which had streaked across the sky, began to expand when it was just tens of thousands of miles away from the Ice Spirit Clan's clan protection formation. The 100-zhong thunder seal rapidly swelled into a monstrous size of several 100,000 zhong. At that moment, the terrifying power contained within the seal exploded. Boom! The horrifying power caused the entire Ice Spirit continent to shake. The thunder seal finally collided with the ice and snow formation, unleashing a wave of destruction that spread over millions of miles. It was at this moment that Cold Sky King understood why Lin Dong had only been defending himself earlier without attacking.